Hey everyone, this is Dana Jones from Sela Creative Company and welcome to my studio. Today we are going to be making these adorable macrame mandala mirrors. Are you ready to do this with me? Let's get started. Here is the finished macrame project. We will set that aside for a minute. Inside your box, you'll find a welcome sheet with a link to the video, along with a pattern to follow on the back side. We'll use that in a minute. Also included in the box is a 4-inch bamboo hoop, your mirror packaged in bubble wrap, all of your cording, a fine-tooth comb, an extra piece of cording in case you lose a strand, and a hot glue stick for a small hot glue gun. Additional materials you will need are a pair of scissors, a roll of tape to hold down your project on the table, a paper plate, a Sharpie marker, and a small hot glue gun. Okay, so we're going to start by taping our hoop into place onto our workspace. I like to use blue painter's tape. Holds it in place pretty well. Put a piece this way and then two horizontally just to keep it in place, keep it more secure. There we go. Next, we're going to get started by opening up our macrame cording. You'll notice that it's tied together with a short piece of cording. I want you to hold on to that. We're going to use that later. You should have 35 pieces of cording in here. And what we're going to do first is we're going to learn the Larks Head knot. And the Larks Head knot is this one that attaches the first initial knot to the hoop. So we'll learn that first, and we're going to do that all the way around. But what we're going to do is start with a section right here. So the way that you make a Lark's Head is you take the length of your cording and you double it. So you meet your two unfinished ends together, and then you have a loop over on the other side. You're going to take your loop from the inside of the hoop going out, and you're going to go under the hoop, and then take your ends over here, go over the hoop and through the loop and pull tight. And we're going to make 7 of those. So take your next cord, do the same thing, double it up so you've got your frayed ends on one side, find your loop, go from the inside of the hoop out, underneath, take your ends over the hoop, through the loop, and pull tight. And again, double it up with your raw ends, find your loop, go under the hoop from the inside, take your ends over the hoop, through the loop, and pull tight. This is the 6th. And the last one, the 7th. Okay. Just make sure that they're evenly secured on your hoop and that they're not twisted. So we have now completed 7 lark's heads, and now what we're going to do is learn the square knot, which are these 3 rows here. The first row includes 3 square knots, the second row is 2, and the third is 1. So the way that you do that is we're going to eliminate the furthest left and the furthest right cords. We're going to use those later. Let's just focus on these right here. Each square knot is a series of 4 cords. So we're going to take the 4 left cords here and move the other ones out of the way. So you have a left cord and a right cord and 2 cords in the middle. To create the square knot, you're going to take the left cord to begin, and you're going to create a 4 by going under the 2 cords in the middle. You see that? There's your 4 right there. Then you're going to take the right cord, put it underneath this tail, go over the 2 in the middle, under the loop on the other side, and you're going to hold these 2 in the middle kind of tight with 2 fingers and then pull up with these other fingers here. You're kind of creating a little bit of a hug for the 2 outer cords around the inner 2 cords. So there's the first one. Now to finish that knot, you actually have to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to create a 4 over here by putting it under the 2 cords in the middle. You see that? Then you're going to take your left cord underneath this tail, over the 2 in the middle, and underneath the loop. And we're going to pull that tight. There you go, first one. Let's do it again. The next 4 cords we're going to use to create that square knot. So we're going to take the left cord, the right cord, and the 2 in the middle. We're going to create a 4 with the left-hand side first, underneath the 2 in the middle. We're going to take the right cord, go underneath that tail, over the 2 in the middle, and underneath this loop. Hold the 2 middle cords tight as you pull up. And then let's do that again on the other side. Create that 4, just like that. Take your left cord under the tail, over the 2 in the middle, and under the loop. Pull tight. Good. And then we have 1 more to do. Take the 4 cords. You have a left cord, a right cord, and 2 in the middle. We're going to create that 4 with the left cord. There's your 4. Take the right cord under the tail, over the 2, and under the loop. And pull it tight. Making sure, do you see how these are twisted right here? We got to flip that. We don't want that to be twisted. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. There's your 4. Take your left cord under, over, under. Make sure those cords are not twisted in the middle. Pull up and tight. And now we have our first row of square knots. Okay, good job. So now the next row actually only has 2 square knots. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to eliminate the outside 2 on the left and the outside 2 on the right. So the square knot will then stagger between the original 2 up here and here and here. So we're going to take 4 cords, 2 from the left and 2 from the middle. And we're going to do another square knot here. So we have left, right, make the 4, the right cord goes under, over, under. Hold this nice and tight as you make your knot. And then let's go on the right hand side and do the same thing with the 4. Under, over, under, making sure those middle cords are not twisted, and pulling tight. And then 1 more in this row with 4 cords, left, right, 2 in the center, make your 4, right cord goes under, over, under. After a while, you might be able to do the square knot without having to map out the 4 all the time. And when I do some time-lapse video later, you'll see that after a while, you just kind of get the feeling of doing it and you don't actually have to create the 4 here. But this is a really good way to learn it because it gives you an idea of the mechanics behind the knot. There we go. Okay, that was the second row. Now we need to create the third row, which just has one square knot in it. And the way that you do that is eliminate 2 on the left and 2 on the right. Now you have 4 in the middle. Again, left, right, center. Make that 4 right there. Right cord goes under, over, under. And we pull it tight. And then the 4 on the other side, under, over, under. Pulling that tight, just like that. All right. So if you take a look at the pattern, we have created the Larks heads here, and then these rows of square knots. Now I'm going to teach you the double half hitch, which are those gray dots right there. And what that really does is it frames in this flower petal that we're creating. If you look at this, you can see that there's 5 primary flower petals, and then there's 5 secondary petals that connect the primaries together. Okay. So to create the double half hitch, it's just a series of basic knots again. And what we're going to do is start on the left-hand side. So we're going to eliminate everything that's on the right, all those. Now the far left cord is one that you did not use to initially make the square knot, and I said we would use it later, and that's what we're going to do right now. Your far left cord on this side is your holding cord. So if you're holding it in your left hand, I want you to switch it to your right hand. And a holding cord is a cord that is just held the entire time, and the rest of these cords are going to tie knots around the cord. You're not going to let go of this. You're not going to actually be tying anything with it. It's just a holding cord. You hold it in place. We want to cross that over the top of all of these other cords in the direction that we want to tie those knots, which is this way right here. So we're going to hold this here, and then we're going to start making a series of double half hitches with the remaining pieces of cords here. So the way that you do that is the cord comes under the holding cord, and we're going to create a 4. This time we're actually going to put the cord, the 4 cord, over the top of the holding cord, and then we're going to loop the end of it around just like this, and we're going to make a knot by pulling up like that. I'll do that again for you. I'll move these out of the way. Make a 4, but this time that 4 goes over the top of this. Then you're going to take the end of that, wrap it around the holding cord, pull up and through, and that is a double half hitch. You can see here it has a single and a double. Each cord is going to tie 2 knots around the holding cord. So now that one's done. Pull the next one underneath the holding cord. We're going to create that 4 over the top of the holding cord. Grab the tail, wrap it around it, pull it up and through. There's 1, and do the same thing again. Take that tail, wrap it around, pull it up and through, and there's 2. So now we have a series of 4 knots using 2 cords. Okay, let's do it again. There's your 4, wrap it around. Sometimes you take your little thumb and you just kind of shift that knot into place. Here's your 4, wrap it around. There we go. Get rid of that one. Take the next one in line, go under the holding cord. Create the 4 going over the holding cord. Wrap that tail around, pull it up and through. There's 1, do it again. There's your 4, wrap it up and through, just like that. Okay, next one, we have 2 left. So go under the holding cord, over the holding cord to make your 4, wrap it around, tuck it into place. Same thing, do a 4, tighten it, and then this is the last one. You can tell it's the last one. It's in the center square knot, and there's 2 cords coming from that. All you want is the left-hand side one. Under the holding cord, make your 4, wrap it around, up and through. There's 1, same thing, wrap it around, up and through. There's 2. So now we have this really nice definitive line here that is kind of the edge of that petal. Once we've done that, we're going to leave this one in the center because we're going to use it one more time. Now you're gonna go to the right-hand side and do the exact same thing, but in the backwards direction. Your far right cord turns into your holding cord, so you're gonna take it from your right hand to your left hand and hold it in place in the direction that you wanna tie the knots. Now we're gonna take the next 6 strands here in order, and we're gonna tie double half hitches. And so the way that you do that is you take those cords under the holding cord, create your 4 over the holding cord, wrap your tail around, up and through. There's 1, and do it again. Over the top, wrap it around, up and through. There's 2. Leave that one off to the side, go to the next one. Under the holding cord, make your 4 over the holding cord, wrap the tail around the holding cord, pull up and through the loop. There's 1, and do it again. Make your 4, wrap it around, up and through. And there's 2. See how it's starting to create that same shape over here? Keep going. Take the next one under the holding cord, make the 4 over the holding cord, wrap it around, up and through. Same thing, 4, wrap it around, up and through. 4, wrap it around, up and through. 4, wrap it around, up and through. Next cord, under the holding cord, make your 4, wrap it around, up and through. Make your 4, wrap it around, up and through. Now sometimes you have to cinch it a little bit so that it continues to go in the right direction, but you don't want to cinch it so tight that your pattern starts to almost buckle in like a cup. So just make sure that you have good tension, but not too much. Holding cord stays in place. We make that 4, wrap it around, up and through, 1, and do the same thing, 4. There's the 2. Okay, now we have the 2 center strands here. Now we're going to continue making this the holding cord. We're gonna take that last one and we're gonna create the point of the V. Same double half hitch, same direction, everything's the same. Just like that. There we go. So we officially have our first petal. What I'm gonna do next is create the second petal in time lapse, and then I will show you how to connect the 2 petals together. Have the first 2 petals done, I want to show you how to connect the 2 petals together. So you want to kind of move your hoop so that each petal is coming off to the left and the right, and you're working in the center. Though if you look at the pattern, you'll see that the secondary petal has a series of square knots and then double half hitches to create that petal that goes below. We're going to start by doing a row of 1 square knot, and then a row of 2, and then another row of 1. And the way that you do that is to start with the 2 innermost cords on either side here. So actually it's actually the outermost. So the outermost on the left and the outermost on the right. And we're going to create 1 square knot in the middle using that. So again, you're going to make a 4, under, over, under, and create the first half, and then do the second half on the other side. There's your 4, under, over, under. I'm going to show you with my hands what it looks like to just do it without creating the 4 under, over, under, because I've just gotten used to it. But if you need to continue doing the 4 method, that's totally fine. So the next row, you're going to take the left 2 from the square knot and add 2 more right next to it. You see how they're all 4 right next to each other? And you're going to create the next square knot. You see how I can just figure it with muscle memory? And then the right side. There go. And then we're going to create the second one by taking the right two of the first row and adding two more. Creating that first part of the square knot, and then we're going to do the other side. You see how it's connecting those two primary petals together? That's what we're looking for. Okay, so now we have 2 square knots in that row. Now we need to do 1 square knot in the 3rd row. And so we're going to get rid of 2 on the left and 2 on the right, and we're going to create that last square knot. Great. We have our square knots done. Now all we need to do is a row on the left and a row on the right of the double half hitch. The way that you're going to do that is, like we divided it before, we're going to start on the left. You're going to take the next available cord that was not involved in any of the square knots. So it's actually the 3rd from the right. Do you see that? This turns into your holding cord. So put it across the cords that you want to tie knots around. And then you're going to take the next 4 cords and you're going to do that double half hitch. So tie it once, create the 4 going over the top, wrap it around, pull it up and through, and then go to the next one going under that holding cord, creating the 4 over the holding cord, wrapping around and through. So there's 1. And like I talked about earlier, this is where it's important that you work with your tension. You don't want it to be super tight, because this is where it'll really start to do that cupping thing. You want it to be, but you also don't want it to be super loose. So just kind of keep a consistent tension so it keeps a diagonal line going right there. So there's your 4, 1, and 2, and then we'll leave this holding cord in the middle because we'll tie that final knot into the point in just a minute. So we're gonna go on the right-hand side. You're gonna steal 1 cord from this petal over here, that next one, so it's the 3rd one from the left. That turns into your holding cord over the top. Your other cords go under the holding cord, create the 4 over, and create your double half hitches. There's 1, 2, do it again. 1, 2, sometimes you have to use your fingers to create the shape that it's supposed to be. 1, 2, 1, 2, there we go. And then we just keep that holding cord crossed over and we create that point, the 2 in the middle. There we go. Okay, we have created 2 primaries and we've connected the 2 primaries with a secondary petal. Now you're going to do that same thing all the way around your circle. So you're eventually going to have 5 petals. So there's another one here, and then here, and then here. And then you'll have 5 connecting all the way around. I'm going to do that all in time lapse for the sake of shortening the video so I can upload it to YouTube. As you can see, I've done 4 main petals and 3 secondary petals. The only spot I have left to do is this spot right here, which is being held by the tape. So this is where it gets just a little bit tricky, but you can just take your tape up, twist it all the way around, and then you might have to extend your tape to hold things down because obviously that's not long enough. So I'm gonna add an extra piece of tape here, get the cords out of the way, and put that down there so that I can do this bottom section. And then I'll go ahead and finish this out, and then I'll show you how to complete the project. Okay, everybody, we are done. How did you do? How do you feel? I know it can be a little stressful, so feel free to take your time over this. If you're not done, it's totally fine. I'm going to show you the next couple of steps so we can finish this project up, but feel free to take your time over the next couple of days to get this done if this is stressing you out, or if your back is sore. Sometimes my back gets really sore when I'm working on these projects. So now that we've completed all the petals, primary and the secondary petals, you can see that we've got this beautifully patterned macrame mandala. Good grief. What we need to do next is cut the strands. And there's a couple different ways that you could do this. You could use a rotary tool and a cutting board. That's actually what I usually do. If you don't have that, you can also use a Sharpie and a paper plate and a pair of scissors. And that's what I'm going to teach you to do today, because it seems like most people would probably have something like this on hand. What you can do it one of two ways. You can either put the paper plate over the top of your macrame mandala. This to me is a little mysterious because you're not quite sure you're getting it right in the middle. You can also take your paper plate and put it underneath, which is what I'm going to show you today, just like this, and just have all your strands hanging out evenly over the sides. Just get that all straightened out like that. So then what you can do is with your Sharpie marker, you can just put a little tick on the ends where you should cut it. And this is just going to be basically a basic guide as to where we should be cutting. And then we're going to come back around and trim a little bit more carefully. But if we're just putting kind of a basic idea of where we want this to be cut, it'll keep all the ends pretty uniformly the same length. There we go. Remove that paper plate. And now you can see you have all these markings. And then you can go ahead and start cutting around in a circle. Obviously, the sharper the scissors, the better. Mine are not super sharp. And this all is just pretty approximate. Don't worry about hitting it right on the mark, because we're going to come back and trim everything. Now, obviously, different paper plates are different sizes, so you just want to find the one that works best for you. If you're planning on hanging this on the wall, I will suggest that you use shorter fringe, probably even shorter fringe than this, but this is a good start. It's also the size of the paper plate that I have. So, because what happens is if you're gonna fray the fringe, it starts to fall if it's too long. That'll make sense a little bit. So the next thing you're gonna do, once you have all of those things trimmed, is take your fine tooth comb. You can work with either side, whichever one works better for you, and you're going to brush out the fringe. See that? I tend to like to work with like 4 or 5 strands at a time. And you just brush it out. And you'll notice that it's not all perfectly straight when you do that, and that's okay. We're gonna come back around with our scissors and do a little bit of trimming. So see the difference between this? This is not brushed out, this is brushed out. I just love how this looks. It just looks real delicate, adds a different kind of texture to the whole project altogether. So you're just gonna continue brushing out all of this, the ends of the cords, until we get all the way around the circle. Okay, I've got it all brushed out here. As you can see, I need to do a little bit of trimming just to make sure that it just kind of goes in a nice flow around in a circle. And I'm actually gonna trim mine up a little bit shorter so that when it hangs on the wall, the fringe doesn't kind of go limp. I want it to stay in a nice straight direction. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim this up real quick with my scissors, and then I'm gonna show you how to attach the hanger on the back. Okay, not too bad. I could probably spend a little bit more time on it, but for purposes of this video, let's keep moving forward. At the beginning of the video, I told you to hold on to that one shorter piece of cording that was holding all of your larger cords together. We're gonna use this piece to actually make a little hanger so you can hang this on the wall. So the way that you're going to do that is you're gonna take that short piece of cording and you're gonna double it up to make a loop. You're gonna tie the loose ends into a knot, just a basic knot, nothing special, and then pull tight. So you've got a loop over on one side and you've got knots on the other. Now we're gonna create a Larks Head knot, which is that first knot that we did initially, and we're gonna do it in between 2 primary petals. So you're gonna pull apart 2 petals, so you've got a space right here. And you're gonna create that Larks Head again by coming from the inside of the loop, and you're gonna go under the loop, under the hoop, like this. So you're behind it, and now you're coming in front of it. And then you're going to take the knotted end, go through the loop to create a Larks Head and pull that tight. But we don't want this hanging on the front. So what we're gonna just do is tuck it in through the hole and pull it out the back side. So now it's hanging off the back. And if you don't want this knot to show, you can actually take the knot out, shorten it up a little bit so that it's not as long. You could even just take this and just tie another knot here. I'm just making this up on the fly. Tie another knot here. Ooh, it's getting tight. Just like that. And then tie that here. So now see how it's shorter? And then we just have to snip this off right here. Okay. So we've got that. This is the back side. It's not as pretty as the front. Can you tell the difference? We've got our hanger right here so that we can hang it. The next thing that we need to do is glue on the mirror. So you will need a hot glue gun. I'll plug that in. And your mirror. As you can see in the packaging, it says, please open carefully. Mirror is fragile and breakable. And this is a true statement. It's a very thin mirror. So when you're opening it up, just be really careful. Would not want it to break. It's wrapped up in a bunch of bubble wrap. So here it is right here. Adding the mirror is a pretty simple task. All we need is a little bit of hot glue and the mirror and our macrame mandala. So we're just gonna flip it over like this. So this is the back side. And you're gonna take your hot glue and just run a very thin bead of hot glue all the way around. Now you have to work quickly with hot glue because it will dry quickly and then it won't actually work. So we're just gonna do that super fast, and then we're gonna take that mirror and we're gonna center it and we're gonna place it right on top of the hot glue. And we're gonna let it dry for a second. Doesn't have to be perfect, but there's probably like 1/8 of an inch on either side that you can play with, maybe 1/4 inch total. Okay, that should be good. Flip it back over again. You might find a little bit of hot glue stuff on the front. That's really easy to get off of there. All right, there we go. We've got it. Now all we need to do is find a place to hang it in the house. We just recently remodeled our bathroom, so I think I'd like to add it to the bathroom. So I just added a push pin to the wall. It's super lightweight, so you don't need anything heavy. Just add a few little decorations here and there. And there you go. Thanks so much for joining me on this project today. I hope you had as much fun as I did, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care.